Hello everyone, we are back, and in the last video we opened up the case of New Capenna, Streets of New Capenna commander decks, and looked over what's in Brokers. In this one we're going to look at what's in Cabaretti. So I'm going to split these up into separate videos because I realized that they were running a little long, so we'll go through and look at what we have in here. So with this one, we have the commander of the Cabaretti deck, or the commander that comes with it, which is Kit Kato, or Kit Kanto, Mayhem Diva, which appears to be a token generator and lets you do some neat stuff with your creatures during combat. So then we have Fabine, Boss's Confidant. Okay, so this has something to do with Parlay. See, at the beginning of combat on your turn, each player reveals the top card of their library. For each land revealed this way, create tokens. Then creatures you control get +1/+1 for each non-land card. Then each player draws a card. Oh, that's cool. It's a little token generator and pump for your team. And that it's getting a lot of glare. Not really sure how to fix that. Let's maybe white balance? No. Oh well. Then we've got Rumor Gatherer, which is from Streets of New Capenna. It's a good little way to scry, and then you draw on the second one. So you can scry a bunch, but you get one draw off of it. Sizzling Soloist, which allows you to stop creatures from blocking, and then you can keep one creature from attacking. And good old Cabaretti Charm, Cabaretti Courtyard, Intangible Virtue, classic, token, basically token lord or glorious anthem for tokens that also gives some vigilance. Orzhov Advocist. Let's see, passes around counters. Path to Exile, along with Swords to Plowshares, two of the best singular removal cards in white, or creature removal spells in white. Beast Within, good general removal. Cultivate, so some ramp. Harmonize to get some card draw. Leafkin Druid, good mana dork. Sakura Tribe Elder, a little bit of ramp and some color fixing. Wood Elves, that classic forest ramp that lets you go and get all kinds of stuff so you can get your duels and stuff like that. Boros Charm, a good closer and lets you make your stuff indestructible. Arcane Signet, solid core commander card. Bloodthirsty Blade. Huh. This lets you goad things. I wonder if the goad sticks around if you move it. I'm not sure. Commander Sphere, good core fixing. Felwar Stone, more fixing. Boss's Chauffeur. So gets huge based on the number of creatures you control, and then it keeps growing as more creatures come in. And then when it dies, it makes a bunch of creatures. So that is very solid. And it even pairs well with a copy effect, so that if you make a copy of it and one of them dies, the counters on it kind of cascade. Grand Crescendo. So both a token generator and a protection spell for all of your creatures. Let's see, Master of Ceremonies. Let's see, that's a good politics card. Indulge to excess. So Sorry about that. So let's see. That turns all of your creatures into token generators when they attack, or rather, it makes a lot of your creatures turn into things. Well, sorry. It makes each of your creatures make another creature, and then create a treasure token for each creature you control, or you controlled that dealt damage to a player this turn, so you can make a ton of treasure tokens. Life of the party. That has a lot of keywords on it. First strike, trample, haste. When it attacks, it gets plus X plus O, where X is the number of creatures you control, so more, go wide strategy. When it enters the battlefield, if it's not a token, each opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. The tokens are goaded for the rest of the game. Wow. So that really lets you play some politics with that and send a bunch of things at your opponents. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a, Rose Room Treasurer. So creates basically 2 treasures a turn, and then just lets you start dishing out damage to things. Well, that's pretty crazy. Seize the Spotlight, another politics card that lets you. Wow. Each opponent chooses fame or fortune. For each player who chooses fame, gain control of a creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures and they gain haste until end of turn. For each player that chooses fortune, you draw a card and create a treasure. Wow. That's that can either ramp you really hard or let you steal a bunch of creatures. Although, I guess if they don't have any creatures, it's a little less effective. Let's see, crash the party. Create a tapped rhino for each tapped creature you control. Wow. So that could easily double all of your creatures. Killer service. Let's see, you create a food token equal to the number of opponents you have, so generally 3 food tokens. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay 2 and sacrifice a token. If you do, create a rhino. Oh, so it lets you trade up your smaller tokens into 4/4s, and also gives you several food tokens. Scepter of Celebration. Let's see. The massive token generator. Very nice. Vivian's Stampede. Each creature you control gains Vigilance, Trample, and Melee until end of turn. Huh. So that's a big finisher. At the beginning of the next main phase this turn, draw, and it's a huge card draw engine. Wow. Best Soul Nourisher. Best Soul Nourisher. Whenever one or more creatures with base power and toughness 1/1 enter the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it grows a ton especially with the things that are creating citizens. And powers up those citizens a huge amount. So that definitely seems like a go wide kind of snowball strategy. Cabaretti Confluence. So there appears to be a confluence cycle for each of the decks. I know we had a Broker's Confluence. So let's see, this one, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Create a token. It's a copy of a creature you control. It gains haste. Exile target artifact or enchantment, and creatures target player controls gets +1 plus gain +1/+1 and gain first strike until end of turn. So that could be a big finisher. Prosperous Partnership. Let's see, create citizen tokens, and you can tap untapped creature, 3 untapped creatures you control to create a treasure token. Wow. That plus the surplus card. I forget the name of it. It's 2 green and a red. I think it's economic surplus, something along those lines, where you can turn treasure tokens into creatures. That works really well together. Plus any kind of token multiplier. False floor. Let's see. Creatures enter the battlefield tapped. And this lets you exile all untapped creatures. Wow. That's an interesting colorless mass removal. Call the copper coats. Let's see. You can strive it and create a bunch of 1/1 soldier tokens. Choose any number of target opponents. Create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. Wow. Yeah, so it's either 3 mana, create tokens equal to the number of creatures an opponent controls, or you can do it for multiple. That's a good defensive and offensive card. Duelist Heritage. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. So okay, so you can turn something into a double striker. Felidar Retreat. Massive token generator and lets you spread 1/1 counters around. Fel the Mighty. We saw this before in the Crimson Vow deck. It lets you destroy all creatures with power greater than a creature you control. Well, target creature's power. So you can potentially wipe everything but 1/1s. Martial Coup. Great token generator that can also destroy, destroy all the creatures on board. Agitator Ant. Let's see. You can power out. It allows some shenanigans with powering up your opponent's creatures and then goading them. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, create a 3/3 red ogre creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3. Huh. So it's fairly defensive. Magus of the Wheel, repeatable Wheel of Fortune. Outpost Siege, little card advantage engine, and also a way of pinging down opponents. Let's see, Zeroth Chaos Rider. Whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a devil. It says when this creature dies, deal 1 damage to any target. Whenever one or more devils you control attack one or more players, you and those players each draw a card, then discard a card at random. So it's a thing that that makes tokens and then keeps making tokens while allowing you to loot. Rasa the Endless Web. Whenever opponents cast an instant or sorcery, you create tokens. Awakening Zone. Fantastic little ramp that also makes you that makes tokens for you. Beastmaster Ascension. Really leaning into the token strategies by making your creatures get pumped up to be huge. Champion of Lambolt. Creatures with power less than it can't block creatures you control. So if you pump this, you can effectively make your creatures unblockable. And whenever you get more creatures, it grows. So that can get out of hand very quickly. Sandworm Convergence, kind of like Moat, that gives you a token every turn. It was a great finisher back in the Amonkhet days. Scoot Swarm, from pretty recent standard. This was absolutely busted because it just keeps creating more and more tokens. Shamanic Revelation, huge or way to draw, and can be a huge life swing, especially with Beastmaster's Ascension. Sylvan Offering, so you can make a big token, and make a bunch of elf tokens. Big token generator there. Thunderfoot Valeth. Lieutenant, as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and creatures you control have +2/+2 in trample. Wow. So especially good with the go wide strategy that we're already doing. Artifact mutation, so artifact destruction and creates sapperling tokens for you. Assemble the Legion. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a muster counter on Assemble the Legion, then create a 1/1 red and white soldier token with haste for each muster counter. So it's a token generator that just continues to grow. Aura mutation, it's like artifact mutation, except for enchantments. So you destroy an enchantment and make a bunch of tokens. Camaraderie, you gain X life and draw X cards where X is the number of creatures you control. Creatures you control get +1/+1. So big life swing and draw engine that buffs your creatures. Gahiji, Honored One. Let's see. Whenever a creature attacks one of your opponents or a planeswalker an opponent controls, that creature gets +2/+0, so buffs for the go wide strategy. March of Multitudes. It has Convoke, and it's a humongous token generator, so it just makes a boatload of tokens, each of which have lifelink. Selvala, Explorer Returned, parlay card that played with Panglacial Worm creates all kinds of rules headaches. Idol of Oblivion, so it's a draw engine that also creates 10/10 Eldrazi tokens. Okay. Canopy Vista, Castle Ardenvale, another token creator. Castle Embereth, a way to pump your tokens. Cinderglade, Exotic Orchard, Fortified Village, Game Trail, Mossfire Valley, Rugged Prairie, so another one of the filter lands. I'm wondering if it's only enemy-colored filter lands. That would be interesting. So Sungrass Prairie, one of the OG filter lands. Temple of Triumph, Windbrisk Heights. It's a fantastic hideaway land that lets you ramp out your stuff way earlier than you would otherwise. Sol Ring, Commander staple. Ash Barrens, another Commander and Pauper staple. Command Tower, also staple. Jungle Shrine, good Tri-land. Myriad Landscape, Naya Panorama, a discount fetch land. Path of Ancestry, Thriving Bluff. Okay, so that's the Thriving cycle was from Jumpstart originally, if I remember correctly. So it lets you get 2 colors in on something that you can choose. Thriving Grove, Thriving Heath, so 3 of the cycle. And then we have mountains, 1, 2, 3 mountains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forests, which makes sense because it seems like we're primarily green, and then 1, 2, 3 plains, and then a full art mountain, a full art forest, and a full art plains. Then the cardboard stand token for our commander, an Eldrazi spawn with a human on the back, a 10/10 Eldrazi with a human soldier on the back, a cat beast with a soldier on the back, devil with a soldier on the back, ogre with an insect on the back, a beast with a sapperling on the back, tree folk with a spider on the back, elf warrior with a worm on the back, a citizen with food on the back, and treasure with a rhino warrior on the back. And then some goated tokens. Those will be nice. that are +1/+1 counters on the other side, and a turn structure card. All right. So really neat go wide strategy with quite a few commander staples in here. It's good to see some of those getting reprints. So in the next video, we will be covering, let's see, Riveteers. So Riveteers, this is this one, which is the Jund deck. As always, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what your favorite card in the Cabaretti deck is. Seems pretty good overall. I could see, handing one of these to a newer player and them having a good time with it. And I'll see what I can do about this glare, because it's kind of ridiculous, like having to hold everything at a 45-degree angle just so you can read it. That doesn't seem like it would be good long term. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.